Now, amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas truce talks, the militant group has demanded written guarantees that Israel will not launch an attack on Gaza after the release of hostages. Now, this comes as the two sides have agreed on a general framework for the deal with only one point of friction. Hamas has demanded a permanent ceasefire, while Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the assault will not end until the final objective of the war is achieved, which is total victory.
Netanyahu declares that he rejects any agreement that leads to a permanent ceasefire and says that he wants an agreement that does not permanently ceasefire. He wants to release his prisoners and then resume his aggression against our people. This is Netanyahu's strategy.
Now, for the third consecutive day, relatives of hostages along with other protesters marched through Israel towards Jerusalem, demanding an absolute release of hostages. The group is expected to arrive in Jerusalem today, where more demonstrations will be held outside of Prime Minister Netanyahu's residence.
We've heard quite often that there was a deal on the table, and each time it was basically Netanyahu who broke the deal. Right now, as far as the public in Israel understands, all of the military people, the army, the Mossad, the Shin Bet, they all say we can make the deal. We can do it. We can do it. And they're waiting, expecting, probably, I bet you, Netanyahu will once again sabotage the deal.
Israel has refuted claims that the IDF will pull out from the Gaza-Egypt border as part of the ceasefire deal. In fact, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the Israeli forces will continue to hold the border to avoid weapons and armory from reaching Hamas militants through the crossings. However, the Israeli Prime Minister did not mention whether this measure will be a temporary one. This comes as the International Court of Justice is set to deliver a verdict on Israel's quote-unquote occupation of Palestinian territories on the 19th of July. A record-breaking number of 52 countries presented their case against the ramifications of Israeli actions in the Gaza Strip. The ruling can add political pressure onto the Netanyahu government to stop the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel has continued to push into the Gaza Strip. The IDF claims to have killed a deputy chief of Hamas's Shujaiya battalion on Friday after troops raided an UNRWA facility. The commander, named Ayman Shweda, was killed as part of recent Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza city. Ubada Abu Hain, another company commander with Shweda, was also killed. As per the IDF, Shweda was involved in the planning of the October 7th attacks. Also on Friday, as part of the same operations, the IDF released a video claiming to find drones and weapons inside a quote-unquote Hamas combat complex, which was inside the former UNRWA headquarters. Now, Israeli airstrikes also targeted central Gaza on Friday. The strikes killed at least 3 people, which includes a father and his 2 daughters, after their house in Deir al-Bala was struck. The bodies, along with several injured people, were taken to the Al-Aqsa hospital. Meanwhile, demonstrators rallied in Jordan's capital of Amman to show support and solidarity with the Palestinians. The protests broke out after the IDF pulled back from Gazan territories after a week-long operation, which killed dozens of people and destroyed several homes. The sentiments were also mirrored in Yemen, where scores of protesters took to streets in the capital in support of Palestinians. These came as part of the regular Friday protests to condemn Israeli strikes in the Gaza Strip.
We came out to this arena, as we have gone out constantly, to send a big and great message to America, Israel, Britain, Saudi Arabia in particular, and the Emirates. If they do not stop, as Commander Abdul Malik said, then they will pay the first and second bills, and Saudi Arabia and the Emirates will burn.
Now, the problems for Gazans are far from over. The United Nations agency is struggling to meet the aid requirements in the Gaza Strip. Emphasizing on the importance of the group, the UN chief Antonio Guterres has urged global funding for UNRWA. The UN agency demanded an aid package of $1.2 billion for Gaza this year. By now, only less than 20% of the funds have been collected.
My appeal to everyone is
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.